This is the plaintiff, Brian Morehouse. He says he and the defendant worked together in a bar and ended up living together, and the defendant stiffed him on his portion of the rent. The guy is living like an ostrich now with his head in the sand, thinking he's going to go away, but he wants his money and is suing for the $1,457.99 he's owed. This is the defendant, Andrew. He says the plaintiff got a girlfriend and moved out on him so he could live with her, and he was left with all the responsibility for the apartment. Then a few months later, he and the girl split up and he moved back in. All he knows is he paid his portion of the rent the whole time, and he doesn't owe the plaintiff anything on this apartment because he's the leaseholder and he's responsible. He's accused of not paying up.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says the defendant stiffed him on rent, but the defendant says the plaintiff got a girlfriend and bailed. It's the case of you broke the bro code, bro.
Thank you, Douglas. Brian Morehouse?
Yes.
You're suing Andrew. You've asked us not to mention your last name for $1,457.99 that he owes you from when you lived together. Okay. How did you two know each other?
We both worked at Bar 4th Street Bar and Grill. I'd worked there a while. He got hired on, and so we'd known each other maybe 5 months before we moved in.
Okay, and then you decide to rent a place together. Are you both on the lease?
So I'd been living there for a year already, and I had a roommate that had moved out that spring, and so I had all the bills at that time and was looking for someone to help out.
So you invited him on to replace that roommate?
Yeah.
Now, is his name actually on the lease?
Yes.
The landlord insisted on it?
I actually never got a lease from the landlord the first year.
Okay.
She was supposed to make one, never got around to it, so I was month to month the whole time. And then when I was bringing someone else in, she wanted to make leases, so we got a lease.
So is your name on the lease?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, so then the agreement is that he's going to pay how much?
The agreement is he'll pay $375 a month in rent.
And how much is the rent for the place to the landlord?
$815.
Okay, and you were paying more, why?
Oh, well, I had the larger bedroom.
Did he have a bedroom?
Yes, he had a bedroom.
And were you guys friendly?
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
we got
So when did things start going wrong?
So he moves in September, and nothing really goes wrong until March, really.
Okay.
End of February, March.
And what goes wrong then?
So, beginning of February, I had this friend who moved up here from New Orleans that I was interested in her, and we were trying to kind of start a relationship or something. And so I went out and rented another place that I moved in with her at.
Were you on that lease?
Yes.
Okay, but were you still paying your obligation on this lease?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you dispute that?
No.
Oh, he was paying his rent on that place. Oh, bonus for you. You get the whole place to yourself. All right, so you move in with her when?
February the 8th. And so we're there, and everything's good, and then I go in for a shift at the bar at the end of February, and I find out from the boss there that he's been fired.
Why was he fired?
Apparently, when he came in for an open shift, he picked up someone's tip out that got left out.
Oh, so he's a thief.
He has a story behind it where it was supposedly an accident, but it never got turned in. So yeah, he was fired for stealing.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I talked to him about it because I know rent's going to be coming soon, and
what did he tell you?
He tells me that he's going to have some of it when it's due.
So did he pay March rent, yes or no?
He did not fully pay it.
What did he pay?
He paid me $200 of the $375.
Okay.
And then after that, I haven't received a cent from him.
Not a cent. All right, and he ends up leaving. But when does he leave?
He actually, this Monday, he shows up to collect other property. He collects his property, and he hands me the key.
Okay, so is all his stuff finally out of there?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay. All right, your lease goes on until when?
Till the end of June.
So you're suing for the rest of March, April, May, and June, because you're obligated to pay that to that landlord. By the way, it didn't work out with the other person?
No, not really working out.
Okay. So did you move back into this place?
I am back at the place for now. I have a whole nother situation going on with that.
All right. And then also he's supposed to be paying half of the gas bills. Is that correct?
half the gas and half the electric.
Was that the arrangement you had?
No.
What are you supposed to pay with gas?
Well, yeah, it was half.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. And then half of the electric bill?
Yeah.
All right. So what happened here? What's your defense?
So how many months do you let a roommate slide on rent before you say you're out of here?
Maybe one, no more. Even
Just
if they're
one?
Family. Yeah, if they're family, maybe you make an exception. That's it.
One?
One, unless the agreement says something else.
Wow, okay. That's tough, going inside the courtroom.
When he moved out 2-3 weeks prior, he had her move in, and
Her move in where? To your place?
yes, with her 2 kids, 2 dogs. One of her friends that was from New Orleans that was hitchhiking from Ohio to Pennsylvania.
Moved into your place?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Well, so I didn't know exactly when she'd be arriving. She arrived for 3 days before my lease began somewhere else. So we stayed there for a couple
Everybody
nights.
stayed there for a month?
No, for 3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
It was
3
not
days?
3 days.
According to you, it's how long?
A couple weeks.
Okay. So then they move out to the other place, and what happens? You have the whole place to yourself?
Yeah.
And you don't pay rent?
Paid part of it.
How come?
So I honestly didn't even want to stay myself.
Well, I know we don't, but you did stay, and you lived there, so why didn't you pay your rent? In your answer to the complaint, you state that you shouldn't have to pay rent because he always told you not to worry about the rent, that even though you were signing on to the lease, that you wouldn't be obligated.
Correct.
All right. When did he tell you that?
When I first moved in.
And
Well,
what did he
before I
say?
moved
Because
in.
you have connected brain cells, so you know that when you're signing your name on the lease, you're obligating yourself to pay.
So
So-
he told me if I would sign the lease that I didn't have to worry about it if I moved out.
You could just sign it and not worry about anything you signed? Did you ever tell him that he could sign something and not worry about anything he signed?
No, I mean,
Because you're full of dumb decisions too. That's, when-
yeah, no, I mean, the only thing I told him was, that my agreement with him of $375 a month was fine, as opposed to what would be half the lease of
Right.
more like 407, 408.
Yeah, that sounds probably more accurate,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Okay, Mr. Andrews, so what else did you state was a reason that you shouldn't have to pay? Because he moved out, so why can't you?
Yeah.
Except for he moved out and kept paying, right? And that's all he's asking you to do. You want to move out, but keep paying.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
Okay.
What?
All right.
How old are you?
25.
I don't think you're ready to be an adult, but adulthood has been foisted upon you and your tender brain. And I think you need to think through the relationships that you build and destroy, because in a minute I'm going to go over there and check for a pulse. I don't quite get how you make commitments to people to pay rent and don't. It's just amazing to me. How long do you think it's going to take before you turn everyone away? Verdict for the plaintiff, $1,457.99.
So I want to talk about this, about letting a roommate slide on rent. If somebody says to you, look, I can't pay this month, and they give you a good excuse, it's okay to say, we'll let it slide to next month. If it goes more than 1 month, you make sure you document this in email form, and also make the person agree that if they continue to be defaulting on rent, that they will move immediately.